Man, did we go big with Cody Rhodes at the start of SmackDown, because we were all like, oh my gosh, it is Cody Rhodes, he's the franchise, he's the player, he's the main event, and he's our lover. We did not say that. We also pushed hard this wasn't like one of the draft, though it always makes me laugh, because you can pick individual people, or you could have gone after the Bloodline or the LWO, and they come as a package deal. Why the flub wouldn't you go after that? Also, hello my friends, and welcome to Ups and Downs for SmackDown with me, Carmelo, and yes, I'm still in my magic hotel in America, and actually, for the very nice people who have asked me, I am literally about an hour removed from my first performance of the last match where I'm playing Alexander Swagger. Had a very good time. Got to be a heel. I said some very rude things to people in an American audience, and now they probably hate me, but that is my job. As always, thank you for the support, but look, he's still here. The finger of power, shouldn't have done that. Let's up those down. SmackDown did begin though by going through all the draft rules, including telling us, that's right, champions are no longer allowed to switch brands. I was like, we just changed all the championships so they weren't called like Raw and SmackDown anymore, and we changed the colors of the belts, and then we made this rule, and while it does make sense, this was a really backwards way to do things. There's also loads of news as well, because Kayla Braxton was interviewing Paul Heyman, and Paul was like, that's right, the rumors are true, Roman Reigns is no longer eligible for the draft. But this was because he's not going to be back on television for a long old while, and given that he has been the star of SmackDown since the pandemic, he has made this decision. I was like, well, that is kind of fair, but WWE wouldn't have done this for no reason, so I'm now guessing at the very earliest, Roman probably ain't going to be back to SummerSlam. And listen, I tell you how I know that is a long time, I'm not even wearing a watch. I do think it means when he does make his big comeback, though, it is going to be awesome when we also cut to Orlando, because of course this year, NXT people can be called up in the draft. This is when we went back to SmackDown too. It was time for a contract signing, and I shot at my TV, oh, would you please draft someone? Actually though, it was pretty good. So unlike our usual contract segments in WWE, Cody Rhodes sat down and AJ Styles sat down, and do you know what they did? They talked to each other like civilized gentlemen. Now, Styles focused on the fact that it's going to be two boys from Georgia having a first-time match, and that, look, he kind of lost his mind at WrestleMania, but he finally went on to defeat LA Knight, which is why he is in this position, and why he's ready for Backlash. He also said how much he respected Cody because they have traveled the same roads, and that is true. He even said it, hey man, we had to make our name outside of WWE, and there ain't nothing wrong with that. Styles then also went in hard, talking about Dusty Rhodes, who had been a mentor for him. He got quite emotional here, and he even said, listen man, that was the guy that told me a championship is more than just leather and gold, it's about how you act when you do have the belt, and Cody, I hope you've got that in you. He then signed the contract, which meant it was Cody's time to rebuttal, and he actually called AJ Styles the modern day excellent of execution, and he knew what he was saying, that is almighty praise. He also respects everything about AJ too, although he's well aware what it means to be a world champion, because he had been taught this as well, because it's not about winning it, it's about keeping it. That's why it sucks to be AJ, because this isn't just a dream match for Cody, it's a match he has to win. That's a good line. So they made it a little bit heelish, because he was like, well, it was great you finished your story, but it is going to end at Backlash, when he kind of walked off. And he looked really annoyed here, as I don't know what you're mad about, Edge. You got what you wanted. They did shake hands before he stormed off, though. And I tell you, I suppose this was quite old school, because there's just one guy telling the other guy, I'm going to beat you, but I like you. The other guy saying, well, can you believe it? I feel that way about you too. I guess for me, I'm just so desperate to see this match. They could have gone out there and played checkers. I'm like, oh my gosh, they did play checkers, so I'm giving it up. Sometimes it's the simple things, like me. When Triple H came to the ring. Man really does enjoy doing this now. To be fair, it was draft time, and he made sure he did it with Cody Rhodes, because of course Cody will be staying on SmackDown as the WWE champion. And do you know who the #1 draft pick was? It was Bianca Belair. I love it. Also a massive fan who was going to be draft pick #2, because going to Raw was going to be Jey Uso. I was like, yes, damn it, this is how you do a draft. So I know both these people stayed on the brands they were already on, but it was just telling you, oh my gosh, I know you see these people as big stars. We're now trying to make them into even bigger stars, because who went #1 and 2? It was these two guys. That's just the way it worked. It then got even better, because #3 going from NXT to SmackDown was Carmelo Hayes. And that was why I was clapping my hands, because why bring somebody up if you're not going to make a big deal out of them? We may as well have thrown a party. Triple H then finished this by saying #4 staying on Raw was going to be Seth Rollins. So all of these I think was home runs, especially because then Carmelo Hayes' music hit, he came out with a microphone. Wasn't doing this. He made it clear that when people say who is the next guy, it's going to be him, which is his catchphrase. But if you can believe it, these fans started to chant, "Whoop that trick." Now look, Carmelo Hayes is going to be a massive superstar regardless, but this trick man, when he gets called up, my gosh, he is going to fly off into the atmosphere. Carmelo also underlined this too because he challenged Cody Rhodes to a match. At first, Cody was like, ha ha ha, I'm not going to do this. When he changed his mind, he accepted, and that was going to be the main event of SmackDown. What? So I really did think all this was very well done because it just sent you a message that we are trying to get new people over, so why don't you come on this journey with us? And I was like, all right, and I hitched my wagon to their cart, whatever that means, up. When the LWO defeated Legado del Fantasma, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be dead before this feud ends. Actually, I thought this was quite well done too, because it only went 5 minutes. Basically, Rey Mysterio got the hot tag, he did a bunch of moves, he hit the Code Red, but he tagged Dragon Lee back in there, who hit Code Dragon or Project Dragon, whatever it's called, onto Angel, and he got the 1, 2, 3. Honestly, they zoomed through this, but that's because we had a post-match angle. Right afterwards, Santos Escobar came out and said, listen, I'm really hurt by what you said recently. I didn't attract Dragon Lee, and given that no one believes me, I've gone out there and I've found the security footage, and Ray, you're going to want to see it. Turns out he was telling the truth too, because we did see this, and I was doing the dance of joy, because do you know who had decided to attack the dragon? It was none other than Carlito. This isn't cool. Although it is cool, because straight away Carlito just attacked him again, which is what you do if you were 8 years old, and you had been caught in the act when he just ran away. When he was run off, he kind of looked a bit concerned about this, but I suppose now he is like on an island of his own. He doesn't have any friends. Of course, it probably means that when we get to Backlash, it is going to be Dragon Lee versus Carlito, and I just love the fact that Carlito has gone heel again, because one, he's far better in that role, and two, ever since he has come back, he's done a lot of nothing. Now, that's not his fault, but I'm a big fan of this man, and I'd like him to do something, so I'm going to try and manifest all of this, and I'm going to give it an up. Also, it was a pretty fun time when Braun Breaker just destroyed Cedric Alexander. Because of course he did. I honestly don't think this went more than 10 seconds because Cedric decided, haha, I'm going to get you with a springboard when Bron absolutely just wrecked him with a spear and he got the 1, 2, 3. But if I'd gone to the bathroom, I would have missed it. Now look, I am going to give this an up because Bron makes this so much fun. I could see him do this for the rest of his career and I think I'd be totally fine. But what happened to Cedric Alexander? We had a video for him with a shot like the Adonis like a month ago or 2 months ago when they were going to be a new tag team and he is just getting totally murked on SmackDown. So that is going to get it down. At the very least, I would have liked to have seen them in one match. We then got a video focusing on everything that had happened between Bayley, Naomi, and Tiffany Stratton last week. When we cut to Nick Aldis, surprise, surprise, he got interrupted by Tiffany. Basically, Aldis then made it clear that it was going to be her versus Naomi tonight, and whoever does win that will go on to Backlash to take on none other than Bayley. See, Stratton was mad about this when Bayley walked in and said, oh, hi, this was my idea. When Tiffany was like, well, maybe you should come to ringside during my match. I could smell it a mile away. And I was like, it's definitely going to be a triple threat match, which did turn out to be true, but you are not going to believe how we got there. Turned out we were then going to have some legends being our draft hosts for the evening because we had Michelle McCool and Tori Wilson representing SmackDown and Raw, and who is staying on Friday nights? It is Randall Keith Orton. Tori then drafted Braun Breaker to Raw, which is very interesting when this continued to escalate, because who's going to SmackDown is flipping Nia Jax. Our last pick was also Liv Morgan staying on Raw, which I was a fan of, because I need that one-on-one Becky Lynch match. So while I'm upping and downing the people going to each brand I do not know, and I do admit a lot of the times it was like, well, that person's already on Raw and they're not doing anything, but I actually did think it made a lot of sense. And when things are 2 + 2 = 4, not 2 + 2 = potato, well, it gets it up. We then got a video reminding us that the Bloodline had tried to kill Kevin Owens last week. We cut to Paul Heyman, who was waiting for a car. He was absolutely petrified. That's because he knew that Solo Sikoa was going to bark at him, have we been drafted yet? And the answer was no, when Tama Tonga got out the other side. And I love how WWE are presenting this man. If you knew nothing about his New Japan run, you would think he was a total psychopath. This is when Kevin Owens ran in and he attacked Tama, and I was a bit like, listen, Tonga man, you must have seen this coming. What you did do to him 7 days ago, well, it was practically illegal. Officials soon broke this up and it was actually going to tie into something later, so we'll hit pause here, and I'll get back to it in just 1 second. Because before that, Kayla Braxton wanted to talk to Bianca Belair, Why not? And this is because we did get the match made official that it is going to be Bianca and Jade Cargill taking on the Kabuki Warriors at Backlash for the Women's Tag Team Championships. And Bianca reminded us that she does have history with Damage Control and that Jade will be the best partner because she's pretty sure she could put this to bed and become a champion. Or something. The other three people then did turn up and they just looked at each other for a while. So as always, the women's tag team titles are in such a weird position, but no matter who wins it here, the Kabuki Warriors or Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair, if we do make the right decisions, this could make it far more interesting. These are proper super duper whooper stars and they're very good at the wrestling. I'm gonna keep my fingers crossed. I think finally we have some potential. It was also really funny because as soon as they were done, it turned out Kevin Owens and Tama Tonga were still fighting as they brawled to the ring. This is when Solo Sikoa was like, oh yeah, I've spent an entire career making sure the numbers game worked in my favor. And he went and helped out his bloodline brethren. Tama was also just murdering anybody that was trying to get involved. So once again, his presentation is excellent. When once again I was doing the dance of joy and like a massive nerd I actually popped because who came out to help? It was none other than Randy Orton. He tried to go for the RKO as well, which is when the Bloodline ran away because they know. So once again, we are doing Randy with a friend, are going to form a tag team, and they hugged after this. And for some reason, it just works. And this is one of those teams I hope do break up because I want to see a proper Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens feud. So you take this and everything we did earlier, it is getting it up. Like I say, I love those two together. And as for this new Bloodline, well, I think it's bloody fantastic. It was then back to the draft after this. Bubba Ray and Devon were here. Bubba started because LA Knight is staying on SmackDown when Devon continued this, because Ricochet is going to stay on Raw. The Bloodline Raws are going to be on SmackDown, which has always been the way. James is going to be on Raw. And I was like, wow, that's 5 minutes of my life I'm never getting back. You could have just told me that after the show. And look, once again, I do agree with everything we did do here, but I am going to give it a down because it was actually pointless. When we got to Naomi versus Tiffany Stratton, I was quite pleased I got it right. Now, Bayley was indeed on commentary drawing this when Naomi just smashed Stratton to start with, and she drop kicked her in the head, and that's a good area of the body to go for. Then missed a flying nothing when Tiffany came back with a hip attack, when I swear Naomi hit something that was basically like a modified power driver. And I stared off into space. I'm like, well, I am really tired right now, but I thought they banned that move. But they sort of hit each other with the same old thing when Naomi hit an insecurity, where I suppose, because she had been drafted to SmackDown, Nia Jax was like, well, I'm here, I want to do something. And she went after Bayley, and Naomi was worried about her friend, so she went to save her, when of course we got a big old schmoz disqualification. Gotta tell you, I did not see that coming. The second week running, Tiffany Stratton was then able to hit the PME onto both Naomi and Bayley, meaning of course we will do the triple threat match at the pay-per-view premium live event. And I don't know why I enjoyed this. I really don't, but I thought it was fun. I think this new version of Nia Jax is just very entertaining and it just gives Bayley a bunch of opponents to go through. Now, I will say this, she does need a proper feud soon because that will make the championship feel more important, but I am giving it an up. Here comes that word again. Just thought it was quite entertaining. Plus, I really like Tiffany Stratton. She's gonna go far. Boris Saxton was then interviewing the Street Profits and B-Fab because next week the Street Profits are going after the tag team titles. B-Fab was all like, oh my gosh, we're gonna beat Austin Theory and Grayson Waller when A-Town Down Under did turn up. They were just like, your sports team sucks. When they ran away because Daddy Bobby Lashley turned up, I was like, man, do I love these two idiots. We also got some more tag team madness because we cut to Karrion Kross. He was like, cameraman, you've got to come with me. Because the Final Testament were just beating up Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. And I was like, well, what if the cameraman had never filmed this? Would it be like a tree falling in the woods? Does it even make a sound if nobody is around to hear it? But hey, at least we are building up a bunch of tag team feuds that will not be about the titles. When out came JBL and Teddy Long to do some drafts. I mean, why the flub not? Thankfully for AJ Styles, he is going to be staying on SmackDown, which means his match with Cody is intact, whereas the Alpha Academy are staying on Raw. And this really made me laugh. That's a terrible pick. They are definitely going to break up soon. Andrade has been moved to SmackDown, which does intrigue me, as was the final one to Raw, because NXT's Kiana James is going to Mondays, and we got a big video package here, and we went to Orlando and we interviewed her. Once again, I was like, yes, this is the way. Tell the people why she's great. She did this too, because she was like, oh man, I am the 1%, and Shawn Michaels came in. whispered something in her ear and they gave each other a hug, which was a bit weird, but I am giving this an up again because Carmelo Hayes' presentation was great, her presentation was great, and we didn't go crazy with the NXT call-ups, so it did feel like a big deal. Now let's make sure we've got stories for them, because that's the whole point. We also got to Nick Aldis, who was all like, oh yes, I'm very happy with my draft so far. I'm like, you shouldn't be, bro. You signed Braun Breaker to a deal like 3 days ago, and now he's gone to Raw. You sacked. He also announced that it will be Bayley versus Stratton versus Naomi at Backlash when he got Teddy Long in, because he's going to announce a tag team match player, because at that show we're also getting Randy Orton and Kevin Owens versus the Bloodline. I really like it. When we got to our main event, which was Carmelo Hayes taking on Cody Rhodes, and if you can believe it, the WWE champion treated Carmelo like hot damn, you've got the stuff. Hayes even got a springboard on Cody, who did come back with a clothesline, but Hayes didn't care about this because he started chopping the fool. That was way too loud, and it's late here in America. I'm gonna get told off. They then started a chop battle, but Carmelo was still able to get a facebuster and a DDT, and he scored with a 1-2-ooh. And I was like, oh my gosh, can you imagine? Rhodes must have got a bit scared though, because he hit the disaster kick, the classic power slam, and the Cody cutter, but he too only got a 1-2-ooh, and he sold this like, why can't I beat this guy? When something weird did happen, because they both hit springboards and they totally missed, whereas Cody landed on his shoulder and he sold it like he'd actually been injured. But listen, he's such a good pro wrestler. I think we're being worked here, and it's why the spot did feel so weird, because now we're going to be like, oh my gosh, he is hurt. And I bet before long that dastardly AJ Styles, he goes after the arm. I'm not entirely sure about this because Carmelo did kind of pause here as if, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. And instead Rhodes just did grab him and gave him the crossroads for the 1-2-3. And while it was a short match, I thought it was quite good. AJ Styles did come out, and once again, I thought he was going to get him, but instead they did shake hands. But we've still got one episode of SmackDown to go. I think we know what's going to happen. So I just enjoyed this for what it was. Not everything has to be a 5-star classic. Sometimes you can put your tush in a couch and just enjoy it for what it was, giving it an up. And that's the same with SmackDown overall too, just because I love what we did with the NXT guys and we didn't go crazy with them. So now it feels like these two are going to be a big deal. Now let's just hope we do have a story for them. Otherwise, what was the flipping point? Now, of course, please do like the video, share the video, and subscribe, and leave a comment below and let me know what you thought about last night's episode of SmackDown, and click the video on the screen, which is ups and downs, for that episode of AEW Dynamite. And once again, my friends, thank you for supporting me on all my mad endeavors. I just like that we do have this connection. See you soon.